learn how this loan officer is absolutely crushing it by doing events, having realtors show up, realtors saying, I want more, give me more. He is absolutely lighting up and just being bold, taking action. So very excited for our guest here. Remember, you got to sign up right now if you want to get in our master growth mastermind on March 3rd, 4th in Breckenridge, Colorado. We only have a couple seats left, so you definitely want to go ahead and get in there. It's going to be small. That is the biggest reason you're going to want to be there, because we're going to be working on your business, not just just raw speech. It'll be working on your business, others to help you along, and it's going to be just an experience unlike you've ever had before. So that is there. Please give us a review. We will be eternally grateful. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for tips and tactics to help you grow your business beyond just this podcast. So that is enough of that jazz. Let's get into the meat, which is the amazing loan officer. I am very honored that it's on here. He's absolutely doing such a tremendous job on doing what we say to do, which is go out there, teach classes, be different, follow through, and just lead by diagnosing rather than demonstrating. He does not suffer from premature demonstration like a lot of loan officers out there. And look forward to hearing his journey, and you will get a lot out of this. So Walter Parker, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Adam. It's great to be here. Appreciate you inviting me on. I'm excited. Anytime, if Adam Heyer's name is attached to it, I'm going to do my best to be there.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, Walter, you are doing really well. I'd love to hear where you at. What's going on in Walter Parker's life. Let's hear some goodness from you, brother.
Yeah, it's been everybody has a journey, right, that they're on, and I'm no exception. Came to you guys at the end of last year and I knew, and listen, I had looked at for about 12 months, I'd interviewed different mortgage coaches and different coaches, period. And looking, some major in systems, some major in different things, but I knew mindset and really just the tools to be able to follow through. I'm an ideas guy. I'm a creative guy. My nickname's the Minister of Mortgage because I used to be a worship pastor. And so obviously the music, there's that whole left side and right side of the brain struggle that I have, because I actually like numbers to a certain degree, as long as you don't get too much of the algebra stuff. But, mortgage side, I'm good with, right? So, but, there's also that creative side. So marketing side, I love. I grew up extremely introverted, believe it or not, and was the son of a pastor. And we ended up evangelizing. So my mother, I always credit her as she's the one that pushed me out to get in front of people, sing and speak when I was a young teen. Really, when I was 6 was the first time I sang in front of public. And she bribed me by getting me a Pac-Man handheld game. I'll get you the game, but you got to get up and sing Sunday. So I did that and traveled around all over the U.S. and actually in Central America. But I look at all that information and all those years of working for churches. I worked with multiple generations. So it was a great prerequisite for what I do now. And so I just, carried on that tradition. Obviously, have picked up such just tremendous wealth of information from you and Dallas and the group. It's been just phenomenal. I've applied that to my business. And so what I've been doing is, January for a lot of people, they were taking the gas off the end of December. For us, it was COVID hit our household. So I'm sitting here trying to work on all the marketing things that I can, since I wasn't meeting with agents. And so now we're back up to full swing, even though the environment's a little interesting. We're adapting and evolving. It's either you repeat the same task every day or you evolve every day, right?
Yeah.
So we're evolving with the condition we have, and it seems to be working pretty well. Picking up business, picking up new relationships. The classes has always been my thing. I love getting to share a wealth of knowledge, not show. Let me show you. You taught me that last week, was share. I love being able to share information with others. And that's something I'm really passionate about. I've been doing Zoom classes in addition now with the live. I didn't really, to be honest with you, for a class guy, I did maybe 3 Zooms the entire year. We were kind of figuring out navigating this whole COVID thing because mainly I was so busy, like every other loan officer that had a pulse. You were probably busy in 2020, right? So 21 comes and the rates start going up, and the refi business kind of starts bleeding out. Okay, what do you do? Well, I never let off the pedal with my purchase clients. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm always trying to evolve, think of new ways. What's the trending topics with realtors? What's compliance going on, in the states that you service in? In Colorado, a lot of news over investment properties. So, people that think they want to get in may not once they read the news on investment properties in Colorado. Whereas in Florida, it's always investment time. Everybody wants to own a house in Florida. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. So by the way, when you say you're winding down, are you going to go another 15 minutes because you're being from your preacher days? Yeah.
That's exactly it. My last point, and that means I got 4 more points, right? So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Dallas was he's got preacher in him, right?
Right. Oh yeah, he's got the blood. Yeah.
He's talking. Yeah. So geez, Dallas, wrap it up.
I think we got an event with you guys coming up on March 1st, and I think I'm just going to bring my keyboard so I can have a little B3 organ to play behind Dallas, because that's what I used to do.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh man, nothing like picking on Dallas when he's not here.
Right, exactly.
Nothing else to say to his face. Those out there don't know who Dallas Hardcastle. He's been on here before, but Dallas is my business partner at GLO, and absolutely phenomenal, and does we just like to give each other crap. I mean, it's what we do. So as you can see, it's a big community in GLO. So we all make fun of each other. But yeah, I love what you're going out there. You're doing classes. Mm-hmm. Do you mind to walk us through, because guys, I love that you do these classes, and you were doing so many classes, but then there was a miss with from classes to, and I think because this is going to be very instrumental to others that may have done this before, or they're thinking of, hey, I've heard this person did a lot of classes and they didn't get much business from it. And you had similar, but then there was some evolution to this when you came over. And now you're transitioning to real business. Can you go through that evolution of what went on there? Because I love that journey.
Yeah. So it was, the part of the whole thing with the classes, and even the company I was at the time, I was actually a branch owner with a partner of mine. And, we're looking at it. And as business kind of started tailing off last year for a lot of loan officers, I've heard it as long as the day. I've heard it that, Walter, you're great. You have charisma in front of people. You can talk to people. You never met a stranger, obviously, church thing, right? But here's the thing. It's just, you have a lot of great ideas, but they haven't turned to $1 million ideas, right? I've never let that discourage me. I've never let something that doesn't work just walk away from it altogether. I want to know why. I want to see what other people are doing well. And to be honest with you, I mean, there's a lot of people that have a lot of noise, but not a lot of substance. And I felt like that I was actually one of those people. I felt like, hey, I can create a lot of noise on social media. I can get a lot of followers. I can build Facebook groups. But at the end of the day, if I'm only got 1 or 2 deals or 2 or 3 deals, I'm kind of a hypocrite of saying that social media works so great. But yeah, I mean, I can make it look great, but at the end of the day, what is it converting to actual sales? So, when I talk to Dallas and I talk to you, I'm like, hey, these guys I need to lock arms with. And even my wife noticed a lot too, as well. She's like, these are actually like the first people you've had to properly train you in the mortgage business, as far as on how to close the business. Right. So for me, I think I might be a little bit of an anomaly where a lot of people have that hard time getting in front of people or getting in front of the right people or even doing the class. That wasn't the issue. The issue with me is that like we talked about, that 5% or 7% other side of it is closing the deal. Not that I wasn't, ability to talk or afraid to ask for the business. It's just I was making assumptions, and I was assuming give high value, you're going to get high value in return. When in reality, what I've been learning is that you get nothing if you ask for nothing, right? You can give all day, but if you don't ask for anything back or set the expectations, hey, I'm going to provide this time, because that's what was happening. I was spending so much time doing these classes, providing all this content, providing value, but yet there was no return of that time investment. So, that for me was the big thing, is the follow up and the follow through. So just simple things of constantly communicating with everyone in the class. It's easy. Hey, it's great. It's a big pump of adrenaline when you have 35 people and you get everybody yelling and shouting and and you kind of got like the Wolf of Wall Street, classroom. You're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make money. That's great. But when everybody leaves, are you making money? And if you're not, and I do the classes for free, then what am I doing here, right? I'm not putting food on my table. So the follow-up and the follow-through has been the biggest probably transition. And I say this, I'm a learn it all. I don't try to say I know it all, right? So there's always a learning process, but I do feel like there is this next chapter that I'm turning over on follow-through. And as it's working for me, I'm taking notes, and I want to, bring on other loan officers and other people to join my team and help them not make the same mistakes of a couple years of giving, nothing in return. Those things were great. I learned a lot from that and still do a lot from what I've learned. But at the end of the day, it's the follow through, and how do you position up for not a year down the road, but to start getting sales within the next, month or two from the people you're connected with.
100%. I love that journey, because that is rare. Like a lot of people, it's, for us, it's, we have different ways you can get business and drive business. But one of them that's really affectionate to Dallas and I is events, because, one of the ways I grew I grew mine on one-on-ones at first, just solely. And then as I was growing, I started put on events, right? Like that was, helpful to agents. And I didn't want to be talking about FHA mortgages because it's boring as crap to me and nobody really cares that much, and talk about real stuff and get in here and do these events. And, I did. And of course I was able to get in front of more people quicker. And I think that, anybody out there listening, is that it's a great way to be really efficient with your time as well, which is one of the things I was always trying to do. Like, that's why I was able to, do things, and, how dude be doing a lot of loans in 15 hours a week while I run a coaching platform. But, there was this transition where it's like, okay, I'm doing these events, I'm giving value, and then it's not transitioning. I think there's one thing I like to you to speak about, is that when we went through and we diagnosed, like, okay, what is happening at the conversation at the table when you do sit down one-on-one, what, like, even when I asked you, said, why would somebody send, like, if I asked you, why would, if a realtor says, why would I send business to you? I think that was a big transitional point too, because we were diagnosing, like, what's actually happening at the meeting. I'd love for you to go through that, because that was I think, an instrumental point, and I think can help others really.
Yeah. And again, going back to that assumption, right? We make the assumption of what every other potential partner wants to hear. And, my response to you was like, well, I can save, so many hours, I can close well, I can be a great high value marketing partner and all this. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if they want none of that? What if they want something different? What if they want something else? How are you, if you're jumping ahead and saying, here's how I can be of value, instead of asking, well, I don't know if I can be of value to you. Let's explore this conversation further. That was a huge transitional aha moment for me, because I had, and most coaching and most managers at brokerages, and, I have to say, everywhere I've been to, they all say the same thing. They're like, well, tell them about this, tell them. And you go straight to being a robot and just spitting off the same thing that, in all honesty, most every loan officer spits off. But you have to, it's not that that information's bad or even not, useful in gaining the business, but it's in reverse. I'm trying to close. And so what you guys definitely dwelled on is the unclosing. Have them tell you what they want, and then see if it's a match. See if you even want to work with them, because that is a big thing. You know, we can spend hours chasing down somebody. Hey, in a conversation, 15 minutes, we can find out, hey, this is not going to be a good match at all. They want something that I can't do or won't do or don't want to spend a lot of time doing. So, you know, let's find out. Maybe I'm not the best fit when they ask that question. So that's always the response. I was, you know, maybe we're not the best fit to work together, but let's get on a phone call, you know, or let me explore and get to know more to see if what I have, it can be a benefit to you. And then that always creates a more of a step back moment, because they're expecting, here comes the sales pitch, here comes the 5-minute or the elevator pitch, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge difference for me.
Yeah, your pattern interrupting off the bat, which it's like, oh wait, and then you're being very neutral, you know, right? Neutral tonality and everything. All that is you know, maybe appropriate. All those kinds of wording and the way you're even saying it is opening up someone to, and it's not, that's why we talk about unclosing. You're unclosing the whole way. And you know, the old sales model, you just talked about it. The old sales model of loan officers is 70% presentation, right? It's like, you know, and then of course the big trap is, as soon as somebody does give you a little nugget, it's like, well, they asked about how quick can you close, and then you're like, and of course I always share that story where I just screwed up you know, just a layup, man, one time where, you know, a woman calls me and it's like, a realtor calls me. He's like, man, I heard you close fast. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I just start talking like how quick I can close. And then she's like, I don't know. That sounds very stressful, and never got any deals from her. Right. You know, if I simply would have asked and not just jumped, there would have been a much further, you know, conversation that could have really helped. And yeah, you know, to your credit, Walter, it wasn't like we just said it and, you know, it was like deaf ears. Some people just take that and like, oh, okay. But like, you're taking this and you're implementing, like, what's very impressive about you and your journey is, we say something, you implement. You say something, you implement. And like all this stuff, like it's 6 months, a year, gosh, it's just going to culminate into, you know, it's already pushing your business now, but like, it's just going to keep adding up, because you're actually taking it. You're saying, okay, take that, implement, take that, implement. And that's a huge credit to you, because we can't, you know, be effective as coaches or platform or anything else if people don't take action. You're taking action. So kudos to you. But yeah, I mean, this is going to, all this, hopefully everybody's hearing this. This is now, it shouldn't be this long-term game. And I think sometimes we'll probably tell ourselves that, right? And Walter, you may have told yourself that where, because you kind of start going on a journey where it's like, well, 2 years, yeah, this is going to pay off. It's like, but then you're just telling yourself this lie, and you're never going, okay, why is this not paying off? Like within the next, why is this not paying off in a month or 1 or 2? Like, right. Like, why is this? It's not like it's not this long-term in sales game that shouldn't be paying off in a few months of people referring me business. I think that there's probably some lies going on there. And maybe you could talk about that a little bit, because I think some other people are doing the same thing. It's like, well, I'm doing all this almost busy work, and then it's like, well, it'll pay off in a year or 2. It's like, there's some stuff that's true with, but most things, it's like, it's not paying off within a few months or so. And I'm not talking about the long-term strategy, like some postings, but generally, if you're in front of people, like if you're actually in front of people, and that's supposed to be a long-term game of a year, you may consider like, there's something broken in that.
Yeah, it really is. I'll say this. I learned how to do Facebook ads back in 2018. Into 2018, joined a group, saw some great Facebook ads, started doing them. And I thought, hey, here's my ticket to high volume. I'm just going to run ads for every realtor that I possibly could work with, get them away from their current lender, and boom. And that in about less than 12 months time, I generated 4,000 leads. Okay. And here's the problem with that. I made assumptions. Again, assumptions is a business killer. I think it's like the poison of your business is when you assume. And I made assumptions, one, that realtors would be calling within minutes of every lead coming in. And 2, that they would stay consistent and understand that, hey, they may not convert right away, but 6 to 9 months, we should see some goals. So here I am again, planting seeds for a long-term gain. What would happen is I would generate a ton of leads, and because they weren't quality, what we use the word quality, right? I actually had one realtor who always said to me, he came from the car industry world, first year he had a team, they did 50 million. And he told me, he said, I told every person that walked in my car lot is never call a lead a bad lead. He's like, because at some point in their life, they are going to buy a car. At some point in most people's lives, they are going to buy a house. So yes, it may be years down the road. They may not be the lead you want right now, but if you have a good follow-up system, he's one of the first people that actually put that in my mind. Every lead's a good lead. Don't tell me they're all bad leads, because at some point they are going to evolve. You know, it just may not be in our time frame. So anyways, saying all that, I realized 4,000 deals, and maybe we might have closed 10 deals out of those 4,000 leads.
Yeah.
And the deals I closed were really handed on a silver platter. Like, here's a listing, here's a buyer. Hey, you can double side the transaction. You know, we did it. So, you know, a lot of that was just such a long journey as far as hey, you got to do things long term. And after kind of getting confidence, you got to believe in yourself, first of all, and then implementing. And you got to be humble enough to say you don't know it all. If I'm going to pay a group for coaching, and if I don't implement what you're suggesting and what you're coaching us to do, then I've just could go out and spend it all on fireworks and just blow it up tomorrow night, because it's not going to do any good if you don't implement. And you can't blame anybody else's for your lack of success if you're not out there with people that are successful. If you don't follow the rule, so many people love to follow the shiniest toy in the room, but the shiniest toy may not be the most successful toy, you know, in the room. So it's just because it's shiny for a moment, you know, what's the staying power? And I've noticed the wise producers that I've ended up working with, my first year, you know, of out there doing that, they didn't say anything to me. They didn't return messages, calls, or nothing. After they saw that I was for real and going to be around and following through with this, it's amazing how someone started reaching out to me. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know, yeah. It's so it is one of those things that the right advice, you have to still implement it, because advice is no good if you don't apply it. You know, and it's the same thing, you know, so I have the faith, you know, background. And so obviously I can stand up on a platform and preach a word from the book, you know, all day long. However, if nobody implements that or applies it to their life, they're not going to see a change or difference in their life. So that's the way, I guess, kind of, again, a lot of things kind of overlay a little bit on a high level. My church background and church training and in Bible college training and all that. But again, application, you know, faith without works is dead, is what the Bible says. So to me, it's like, you know, advice without implementation is dead. That's the way I look at it.
I love that. Advice without implementation is dead.
Yeah.
Love it. That's a kind of a mic drop right there. There you go.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That's you're 100% right. And yeah, again, I mean, you know, just evaluating some of those things. I think that a lot of, you know, I just recorded one where what's the 3 reasons why you don't prospect. It's actually going on after this one. And so, but yeah, a lot of that ends up being right. Like you don't have a decision going on, right? Like you don't have a decision of you don't know what to say. And sometimes it's you're self-judging and all these other things that happen and then we're allowing ourselves to have a comfort in, it's going to be later. It's going to be, you know, this is, I'm playing this long game, doing all these things that you're giving yourself this buffer so you don't have to face reality, right?
Right.
You have to face the reality of like, this is not working. There's something broken in what I'm doing. Like, right. Mm-hmm. And we're all guilty of it from time to time, like where we think we give ourselves that buffer, right? It's like, no, like, why is it not working? What does I do? Where's my broken thing? Why am I not asking? How am I not diagnosing? What is these things I'm not doing that's leading people to say, okay, yes, and raise their hands. And, you know, then I think the other thing is that, and maybe you can speak to this because, and I think we've worked on this a lot, is that classes are amazing. I think they're great to do because you're leading with value. I think where a lot of times the miss ends up being is that some people are so busy, so adamant on providing value that they feel like they have to provide all this massive value before they could ever ask for a deal, or they could ever be in business relationship, or they can ever feel like they're worthy. And I think that shows up with a lot of people, and then they're not asking for it. It's like, okay, let me do one more class and one more class and one more class. And like when they tell me they really want to work with me, and I think this is perpetuated, by the way, by so many companies, coaching companies out there that want you to buy their stuff. There's people are just going to be like falling over themselves trying to go, please, Walter, you did this and this, and I want to do business with you. And we know it just doesn't work like that, but
Right.
I think that a lot of that ends up being where we're, again, it's just this big pile of value we're trying to pour on just to justify our existence. And I think that's can be a very detrimental thing to people's business.
Well, it's law of diminishing return, right? So you almost devalue yourself by having to overvalue yourself. This is the realization I've had since coming on with GLO, is that, hey, being a good loan officer, there's value in that. If you're actually just good at your job, that's high value already. And then, and that's even something with the company I'm with now, my regional, he's telling me, he's like, well, absolutely there's no other loan officer I know offering as high a value. Do not give that stuff away. Reserve that for the people that are going to partner up and lock arms with you. Do not give this away like you have in the past. And I'm like, okay, I see that there's different levels. We need to, we can have a broad level class that there is a certain amount of value, but then there's people that are, I do want to take care of people that are taking care of me. Obviously there's that return, but there was this aspect that I felt coming into the business because I'd been in banking for close to 9 years before I got my mortgage license. And I was a commercial lender before that. I was a branch manager, started out in banking by accident. I was fed up with working for the phone company. So I saw Bank of America was hiring for their call center. I'm like, I'll go take a posh job and do this. And this was in 2006. So I did online banking support, and they're like, hey, you got a sales background from the phone company. Why don't you go inside the bank? So I did that when I moved to Carolinas, and lived in and went from being a personal banker to a branch manager in like 9 months. And what I saw in that process, I'm like, okay, this is something I'm good at. I could do. I like working with people. I'm helping people. And of course, 2008 happened, 2009, and I had the opportunities to explore, other avenues. But bottom line, when I got my license, I did not feel confident that I felt like, man, I'm in the sea of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know loan programs. I don't know all the compliance stuff. So, and what I didn't realize is that even after I learned all the things that I felt like I didn't know, I still felt there was the whole mindset of, I've got to provide extra value to make up for something because I haven't been in the industry for 10 years or 20 years. And it was a lie that I told myself that I just realized until the last year, I've kind of believed, right? So it's like, you guys say, no, that's a lie. Again, being willing to be open to criticism, that's one thing, and I've definitely had my fair share of criticism. I welcome constructive, coaching is what I say. I say constructive criticism, but it almost sounds like an oxymoron sometimes, but constructive coaching I receive. Criticism of, to me, gives no value at the end on how to correct it. They're just saying they don't like something, but they're not telling you how to correct it. Right. So whereas the constructive coaching does, it can tell you what you're doing wrong, but then also give you the value on how to fix that. So that's what really has been even the last 4 months. And I've seen this journey. The people I've talked to more and more, I've implemented hiring, stepping out, and sometimes we gotta operate a little bit on faith and be like, I don't feel like nobody's ever feels like they're ready to hire, but they know they need to, the remedial task. And for me, that was another thing coming on with GLO, is that I got introduced to this amazing network that I could actually hire an assistant that'll take care of doing the things that maybe I know I need to be doing and I want to try to implement, but I know my schedule and it's going to pull me away from growing where I need to be. I'm going to pay somebody $6 an hour, $5-6 an hour, and have them call people before an event. I'm going to pay them $5-6 an hour to shoot out emails for me. And it's the best money I've spent. It has created a lot more, just a lot more time with family that, I don't have to worry about things late at night, even though creature of habit. Sometimes I'm up 10, 11 o'clock working on marketing, but I don't have to do that because I have someone else. So again, just a number of things of kind of getting out your own way, having more confidence in yourself, and again, implementing the advice that you're given.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying there with this age old thing. Well, I can do that. It's like, are you doing it? Are you going to do it? Okay. Then what are we talking about here? It's like, okay, so can do it and are doing it and going to do it are not the same, right? So
Right.
you notice a pattern there. It's like, I'm just not going to do that. And it's just not fun for me. And hey, can I hire a virtual assistant for $6 an hour to do this? To that's going to easily pay for that itself. Okay, I need to do those things. And your highest leverage, I mean, this, like, your highest leverage moments are you're doing the classes and getting in front of them, and then you're doing the actual follow through and getting them masterminds or creating other conversations deeper level, and you're creating those opportunities to do business together. Those are your highest leverage times. The other stuff to where it could be done by somebody else, and they don't need to be some high level salesperson. They just need to have contact. I mean, it's like, come on now, like, what are we doing? So you out there, if you're thinking about a virtual assistant, it's a really good way, by the way, to do leverage. And if you need help with that, just email angel@geniusloanofficer.com, and we'll figure that out for you as well, help you with that.
And I can tell you that's another racket. Well, I say racket, I don't mean to insult it, but there is so many people out there that are paying thousands, and I mean thousands of dollars. I know there was a conference that just happened because the realtor did not take my own advice that I gave him. Very good friend of mine too. And I said, hey, before you do that, you need to talk to my girls that I have through my network. And like, I understood you can hire them for 12 months and they'll hire as many virtual assistants as you want, and it only costs you $10,000. Wow. So, and we tried at my previous company, we had tried to hire what we call ISAs, inside sales agents, through different virtual assistant companies, and twice spent about $3,000 each time to hire a company to find the person, train them, and release them. And both times they didn't work out. So that I talked about this a little bit on the call with you guys, but that's what was so impressive to me. It was like, okay, I'm going to try the VA thing one more time, and really it is. Everyone I've talked to that uses virtual assistants, a lot of times you're never going to, unless you get with the company that's doing it right. But if you go out on your own trying to doing it, you're usually not hitting a home run out of the gate. Yeah. You're having to find, really even knowing what you want, but getting out there and at least starting that process and doing that is much better than sitting on the sidelines saying, well, one of these days I'm going to do that. One of these days I'm going to get around to doing that. So that was the, big thing as far as for transition my business too.
Yeah, it helps. And yeah, we got some rock star VAs, and one of them is recording this. Her name's Angel, and she's the most amazing. She's awesome. I mean, she is just, gosh, I mean, we put together so much material, and I'm like, hey, hurry up and get this done, please. I'm sorry. I know this is last minute because I'm like throwing something together or whatever, because I'm like, all of a sudden I just think of something. I'm like, we want to get this thing done. And she's over there just getting stuff done as we speak. So, yeah. And again, just FYI, GLO makes no money from helping anybody out there to do this.
So at the rates that you pay for these people, there's no way you guys are making any money on this. I mean, come on.
No, but if you do need help with that, just email us, angel@geniusloanofficer.com. We'll have a conversation with you and see if who we need to help you get or whatever, but see if that's a possible fit. But yeah. Gosh, Walter, any last parting words? I mean, I feel extremely blessed. Like, I always talk about energy, by the way, energy. I talked about it actually today's podcast. It's going out. Did you want to listen to on Monday after this one? Is that energy is key, right? Energy is life. And what I can say is that every time we speak, like, I'm like, yes, we get to speak to Walter today. Oh my gosh, he's on our group call today. You always have this energy about you, and you're always providing us energy too, because one, you're just a great guy. You do a great job.
Thank you.
And you're implementing, and gosh, we see just the roadmap to success here. So, but it's been a true pleasure. Walter, any parting words before we say bye to listeners? Anything you can give them before we go?
I would just say keep evolving. You know, if you don't evolve, you're just growing into repetition, and we all know what the definition of insanity is, right? So I would just say keep evolving, keep growing. I'll always throw this out there. Anybody I meet, I always talk to. A turning point kind of in my life when I wasn't even in mortgages was I had a gentleman reached out, taught me some extremely awesome that's used by almost every major church in America right now is a program called Ableton. And I was reaching out to a couple people. They said, you need to get in touch with this guy. This guy flew me out to his place, helped me understand the technology, work it, master it. And he said, but you got to do one favor for me. Make sure and read the book, Go Giver. And he's like, you understand why I'm doing this? And, you know, I like being a connector. And so I thank you so much for all the compliments. I mean, honestly, I don't allow myself to believe in the compliments to a certain level of degree, otherwise you get a big head, right? But but at the end of the day, it's, you know, I want to be a learn-it-all. And that's what I would encourage everybody else to be, is try to be a learn-it-all, you know, in every aspect. Every day you're learning. Obviously we have a lot of crap that comes on us, and then there's great stuff. It's all in how you're going to look at it. Are you going to learn from it and evolve, or are you just going to repeat it and have the same thing crapping on you all the time? So I'll just leave you with that.
I love it, Walter. Walter, been a true pleasure. You all out there, maybe you need to re-listen this once or twice and just get all the golden nuggets that Walter shared here today. But Walter's walking the walk. You can do the same types of things. If you need help with that, you know where to find us, geniusloanofficer.com, schedule a call, and we'll see if it's a fit. And as Walter says, and we always teach because we truly live and breathe this, we don't know that you're a fit, and we got to determine that. So that's a great thing. So we want the people that are going to be able to be served, and we can serve them in the group. So if you think that this stuff speaks to you, hit up geniusloanofficer.com and we'll have a conversation. You all know the drill. Limited risk equals limited income.